Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey everybody, Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast, where I talk with and interview top leaders in business. Today, I've got my good friend, Dr. Jeremy Weiss of Rise 25. He has done thousands and thousands of interviews with really wonderful and successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And today we'll be flipping the script and he will interview me. Welcome to the show, Jeremy. Thanks for being on.
Austin, I'm excited. Thanks for having me. And this episode, we're going to talk about how to grow and sell your company for the highest possible price. Okay. I don't know who wouldn't want to know that. I want to know it. I'm looking forward to you talking about it. And before we get into it, this episode is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. And if people have listened to other episodes, they know one of your number one focuses is in your team is buying other pest control businesses. So if you know someone with a pest control business, maybe 3 or more trucks on the road, really respectable brand, I know that you would love to talk to them, Austin. And I remember when you've talked about other businesses that you've acquired, like Randy, who's in business for 30 years. And sometimes people aren't even interested in selling. And they also never thought that he could sell the company for what you paid for it. Now he's living a good life. And so if you have questions about that, you know someone, you are yourself interested, go to email them at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com, or you could text him directly at 480-254-9730. And so let's talk about this, Austin. Where do we start? Someone wants to grow their company first and then sell it for the highest possible price. What are some of the things that you have done that have really moved the needle with growth?
Yeah, so I'll preface this with a conversation that I had probably 2 or 3 years ago. We constantly have, as you probably do too, people reaching out to buy your company, or perhaps like venture capitalist type firms that are looking to be able to buy. I normally don't call them. I don't know what had me do this particular instance, but I did, and I hopped on the phone with this gentleman. And it was a really valuable phone call for me. I appreciated that he was just super transparent as I was with him, just saying, hey, I don't know really why I called you. Maybe your email stood out or whatever. Certainly not what we're looking to do, not looking to sell, not, that sort of thing. But I wanted to understand a little bit more about the way that you and your firm value different kinds of companies, whether it's a home service firm or a digital marketing agency. And the conversation that unfolded was really valuable. Like I said, he essentially said, like, look, you want to really focus on your gross margin. You want to make sure that all of your ratios, your financial ratios, are in check. You want to make sure that things are financially sound. You want to make sure that the business doesn't depend solely on you, because it's not really a business if it depends solely on you. You want to regularly be raising rates on your customers to keep up with costs and inflation and all the rest of that. And he went over a couple of dozen different things, a few of the most important I've just shared now. And he said, oh yeah, and by the way, Austin, all those things that would make your company or any other company more desirable for someone to purchase or a firm to purchase, they're the same things that would make your company more profitable today. And so, anyone that's listening, your firm, the more valuable your firm is today to you, or your company is today to you, the more valuable it will be to someone that purchases it in the future. And so those things, those hard things that you have to do, but you're either procrastinating or putting off, you need to do them. You need to fire those couple of customers, because guess what? The firm that purchases your company, they will. You need to raise rates on the customers that you had back 20 years ago. If you don't, the firm that purchases you will companies don't purchase other companies to lose money. And there's a variety of different reasons that people purchase companies. Sometimes there's a piece of technology that firm is interested in. Sometimes there's a couple of key people that they would like to have brought along in the acquisition. Sometimes they want to expand their geography. Sometimes there's a segment of the business that you're really strong in that the purchasing or acquiring firm isn't, and so they want that. But those are some things that you can do to make your company more valuable, whether you sell it today, in a year, in 10 years, or never, and they'll be much more profitable for you, or your business will be much more profitable for you as you go. To answer your first question, Jeremy, as far as growth, I think it sounds cliche and a little bit old-fashioned, but look, like, take care of your customers, and they'll take care of you. They'll take care of you by continuing to come back and by referring other people to you and to your firm, whether you're a pest company or whatever company you are. And so I think it's just good old-fashioned hard work, taking care of customers, taking care of people. Don't forget to ask for referrals. Don't forget to incentivize them to refer, and then do all of the things that you can do traditionally to grow. And so it's kind of at the beginning of some of our podcasts right now today, me and Moxie, we're focused on growth. We do that a lot of different ways, but if you've not figured out your digital marketing, go do that. If you've not figured out your SEO for your business and your market, go do that. If you've not figured out Facebook ads, do that. If you're not on, if you're not advertising and marketing and split testing in front of your ideal customer and in your markets, you need to do those sorts of things. Do direct mailers. In the very beginning, the way that we used to grow at Moxie was with direct sales people. That's still a good part of our growth trajectory and our growth model, but it's been subsidized with a lot of the things that I just said and listed, whether it's direct mailers or PPC campaigns. Acquisitions, is certainly one that we're after right now. But you certainly want to make sure that it's the right kind of growth and a profitable kind of growth. And one thing that growth will do is take all of your time and most of your money. And so make sure that you're prepared for that. Growth sucks cash.
I kind of lump it into two categories from what you've said. Foundational growth and then sexy growth. Like when I asked the question, I thought you were going to the sexy growth. The sexy growth is the digital marketing, the SEO, the Facebook ads, the direct mail, the direct sales. And I want to dig deeper on that. But what's interesting how you answered the question was you went to the foundational growth, and I'm just, categorizing it. But the foundational growth, you said, is there some low-hanging fruit opportunities for people? One, you said, subtract to add, meaning what customers should you not be working with right now? So that can help increase growth. So you're not focused on those customers that are sucking your resources that you shouldn't be. Or then the second one was raise your rates. I forgot who I was talking to, Austin. Like someone was like, I could double your company. And I'm like, or whoever, right? And they're kind of half kidding. Like, I just double your pricing. I mean, we know that's not true because there'd be attrition there, but they were saying that the point they were making is, you can, there's probably right now, a lot of people aren't charging enough what they should be charging. Right. And so look at, on certain projects or customers or whatever, not just to raise them, but like you said, raise them to provide the best quality service. So growth by subtraction of cutting customers, and then two, possibly raising rates where you deem it necessary. And then look into the service, like improving the service so you maybe can charge more. And then I guess I would lump that under the foundational. And then the low-hanging fruit is also of your current clients. Are you asking for referrals? How are you asking for referrals? So before we get to the sexy growth part, are there any other foundational growth things that you want to dig deeper on, or any other additional things that maybe I missed from that end?
Yeah, and great points. Thanks for bringing a lot of those, a lot of those up. I think that maybe part of me starting with maybe the non-sexy growth is a little bit of PTSD, meaning when we first started about a decade or so ago here in Phoenix, we grew the first couple of years and we grew fast, but it wasn't all the right kind of growth. And so I don't care who you are, when your expenses are here and your revenues are here, that is a problem. You want to you want the other way. And so the pricing has got, and we've talked about this in past episodes, but your pricing has got to be right. And what you said is paramount too. Like, customers and consumers, they are not stupid. They are very, very intelligent, and they work hard for their money. And so for them to entrust me or you or Netflix or whoever with some of their hard-earned money, they need to be able to get value and a return out of that. And so, the thing that you said, Jeremy, and the question that I would pose is, look, if you're not able to double your rates right now and have everyone cancel, what would it look like to provide that much value to your customers that if you doubled your rates, not one of them would cancel? You know what I mean? And so, just like you said, you either market or provide other goods or services to them so that they, have more value. If you want to double your revenues, you can either double your customer base or keep your same customer base, double their rates, not for the heck of doubling their rates, but because you're offering more goods and services to them. And so I think the reason, again, I start with the growth that's maybe not buzzwords or super sexy right now is because it is foundational. It provides revenue now and in the future. And there's just no tricks really or secrets to business in the sense that you're not going to fool your customer. And there is no single marketing trick or gimmick out there. And if I'm starting anywhere, and others might argue with me, but I would start with those foundational type pieces of growth where we're taking really good care of customers, asking for referrals, making sure that your attrition, whatever it is, customers come and customers go, but making sure that it's in check. Because if it's not in check and then you go and you spend tremendously with some of the sexier kind of growth, well, you're just going to have to spend a lot more to replace the revenue that's just going out the back door. And so how does it go, Jeremy? I mean, it costs, there's a lot of variations of it out there, but it costs 5 times more or 8 times more to, get a new customer than it does just to maintain the current customer and clientele that you've got. So do both. Keep the current clientele you've got, and then go spend to get more and bring them in and keep them in.
Yeah, totally. We neglect, we go to the new shiny customer as opposed to like who has been just a huge champion and an amazing client or customer. The bridge between the foundational growth and kind of the sexy growth I see is something you just mentioned, which is a growth opportunity, which is a service like a different product. And we've talked about this in other episodes, whereas you want to stay within your lane, but there's a certain amount of customers it takes for them to ask you certain things before you deploy that new service. But that is also another growth that you've talked about. Can you talk about the decision on at what point do you go, okay, we're really, really good at this. We're becoming that also, creates efficiencies with your team and your company, and then deciding to offer another service which could bring in more revenue, but at the stake of maybe it's not as efficient in the beginning. How do you decide to branch out from growth from that standpoint?
Yeah, great question. I think different business owners would have to answer that question for themselves. And I think that the answers may be different and all of them can be correct. And so, for example, one of the mistakes that we see or that I've seen in the pest space is people start and try to be everything to everybody. They'll offer general pest services and termite services and mosquito services, and they'll do exclusion work and they'll do weeds and they'll do all of these sorts of things. Well, it's a lot of the times different techniques, different products, different equipment, different expertise in the employee that is, or the expert that's deployed. And that is very, 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 very costly. And so, for us, we started doing residential general pest a decade or so ago. And the first time a customer asked us to do termite work at their property or exclusion work at their property, we didn't jump at that and say, yep, sure, we'd love to. Even though it could have been a good, lucrative thing. And we didn't do it the second time we were asked or the third time we were asked. It took us a couple of years to be able to feel comfortable, one, with the amount of people that were inquiring about it. And then two, to develop the expertise to be able to serve our customers incredibly well. And so as far as like a revenue stream, if you will, we wanted to be able to do at least $500,000 in revenue the first year when we opened a new segment. If we didn't feel like that was going to happen or be achievable, then we just wouldn't do it. And we would have to be asked hundreds of times to be able to do this thing or that thing before we kind of opened the floodgates to our current customer base to say, hey, great news. We do this now. You've asked, we've listened, and we do whatever, weeds or mosquitoes. And so here's the special coupon for you. And we'd love to earn your business in this way. If you've loved the current services or subscriptions you've got with us, you can trust that we'll take care of your additional service or subscription in the same professional manner, same people, same experts, same sort of deal. And because this kind of maybe brings this conversation full circle, but because we had invested heavily in making sure they were extremely satisfied with what they had entrusted us with already, it was an easy decision for them when they had a different kind of need. And, the need perhaps wasn't there right when we sent the email, but they said, hey, this is, some of them jumped right on it. Some of them said, hey, this is good to know when I have this need. I've been really happy with Moxie, right? In them serving me in this way. When I have that need, I know who I'm going to call. So
you have to be really disciplined to make that decision because it's easy to react and you want to help and serve the customer. But so it is a discipline. But what I like what you said is you, in evaluating that growth opportunity, you maybe set a baseline and you said, okay, we're going to do this. It has to have this number of customer inquiries or this amount of revenue before we're going to invest as a company to do that.
That's right.
Right.
Yep. That's exactly right. And like I said, those numbers and benchmarks might be different for everyone that's listening. But if you don't have a plan, I think that you'd probably be sorely disappointed at the end of the year to find out where you ended up.
So the foundational growth and then the growth opportunity and then the sexy growth. So walk me through some of the things that work in the sexy growth category and the way you explain deploying them. So you talked about digital marketing, SEO, Facebook ads, direct mail, direct sales. Maybe walk me through a few things of just the methodology of what you look for in a campaign to make sure you keep doing it or stop doing it.
For me, it all comes down and back to your return on investment. And so, with those sexy things, they all work. And, anything that we've put focus into, we've been able to get a return. Some of our business is seasonal and there's seasonality to it. But whether it's been Facebook campaigns or different mailer type campaigns or leave behind marketing material, you want to be able to get a return on your investment. And so if you're investing whatever, $1 or $10,000 this month on a Facebook campaign, I think that you would be really wise to track everything that happens on that campaign and from that campaign, what the impressions look like, what the traffic looks like, if it's a PPC campaign, what the click-through rate looks like, how many people actually call, how many people actually submit a form, so that you can say, hey, I spent $10,000 or whatever you spent, and this is what I got in return. It's not, return on investment. It's not necessarily always about a financial return. Sometimes it's just when you look at different marketing funnels, usually at the top of that funnel, it's always generating and raising awareness. Okay. And so if you take out a radio piece, or perhaps like a billboard right around town, or billboards around town, the purpose, or like the call to action, might not be a direct response kind of campaign. It may just be, hey, when people are driving down this road or this freeway, or they're tuned into this station, we just want them to be able to hear that we're around, that we're in business, that we're offering these services. And so you don't know a lot of the times how that will make the phone ring, or your form fill up into the future. And so measure everything, and don't stop experimenting. Split test everything. Just because something doesn't work on day one, or week one, or year one, doesn't mean that it's not going to work. People understand the gym, right? Because most people at some point in their life, they've gone to one. And so if you want to feel a certain way or look a certain way, you wouldn't expect to go into a gym and after one day or workout session or whatever to look and feel. In fact, you actually look and feel a lot worse. You're sweaty, you're sore, your muscles are burning, or your chest is burning if you're doing cardio and running. And so you need to put in the work and put in the time before you get the results. We understand that physically, and marketing is no different.
Austin, can you walk me through maybe one campaign? You could, you don't have to get super granular with it, but one campaign where in the outset it just did not look like it was going well, but there was just you or whoever was running it was like, no, like I've this is going to work, and you stuck with it, and it ended up where you wanted on the other side. And obviously the whole underlying principle of what you're saying is, no matter what you're doing, you need to track and measure the whole way through. And there's different points of, from awareness to viewing to clicking to signing up to actually becoming a client. You need to track all of those pieces. But is there any that stick out, and it could be under any of those categories, whether it was Facebook ads or direct mail or direct sales, that maybe it wasn't looking so great on the outset, but you stuck with it and it turned out really well?
Yeah, I've got a really specific one. I think it was 2015, so about 6 years ago. I've got a really great friend in the digital marketing space. His name is Brennan Hammonds. He's out of Vegas. He runs a firm called Invio, great firm. And we decided, hey, we need to figure some of this stuff out. We've got some experience and we've had some results, but we need to find a pro. We got linked up with Brennan, and we did our homework, and we were ready to spend and ready to go. And we, this particular year with Brennan, I think that we spent $50K on this campaign, and I was nervous about it. Remember, I grew up poor, and so when I find $3 crinkled up dollars in my pant pocket that I didn't know I have, I'm just like really excited about that even today. And so $50,000 is more than $3, and it's like, man, I'm willing to invest this. I'm willing to spend this, but we've got to get a return. And Brennan did a great job managing and setting expectations from the get-go. It was a pay-per-click campaign. And he said, look, this stuff, it turns on really quickly. The SEO is a little bit longer of a kind of play, but it does take a minute. And we will, as we fiddle a little bit with the algorithm and play with different things and split test different things, we will get that phone to ring or the emails to fill up or whatever else. And I'm glad that we stuck with it. I'm glad that we did it, because our year over year are with comparable spend year over year, our leads tripled and our sales doubled because of that one campaign. And so it was scary, but you gotta pay to play, and if you're paying to play, you need to, and even if it's not giving you the result that you need to be learning something. And so that was an instance that I'm really grateful that went really well, and that we were able to pick up new customers and business in that way. But initially, it wasn't looking that way.
Yeah, Austin. So I just want to summarize. This has been great. So think about the foundational growth things that Austin said, and then the growth from other opportunities, and then the sexy growth. And the lessons I learned from you, Austin, or the sexy growth are: one, you must track and measure. The other one that stuck out for me is multi-channel. There's not like, oh, we just did only this one thing. You do many different things because there's leads or clients or customers coming in from different channels that can add up to a net much more. And the other thing you mentioned is experts. You sought out expert advice in specific channels. Like, you didn't try and figure out how to do you just hired the expert who can get you the best result and shortcut that result for you. So before we end, Austin, anything else in the kind of this realm of growth that we should talk about or mention? I just want to encourage people, if you haven't checked out the book, E-Myth Pest Control Contractor, when it's out, it's with Austin and Michael Gerber, if you've heard of the E-Myth, and most people have. And this is about why most pest control companies don't work and what to do about it. Anything else you could think of, final words on growth?
Have more money than you think you might need, especially if you're experiencing hyper growth. I think, previously we were just talking about how that, you can actually grow broke. And so know how much runway you've got, know how much budget you've got, and don't play with more than you're willing to lose. And I think as you kind of keep some of those things in mind, focus on the foundational growth first, and that'll give you a little bit more disposable income to test things that are necessarily high risk, but that maybe you don't have all of the experience in. And if you don't, then hire an expert, and put them to work for you.
Austin, thank you for having me. Everyone, check out more episodes of the podcast. And Austin, thanks again.
Hey, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.